in the world as far as it's possible. Always it's not possible. Some wars will always be there. Wars are unavoidable. But it tries. It tries to reconcile differences among the nations so that warfare can be avoided. Now, in warfare, the concept of warfare is drastically changing over the past few years. In very olden days, as you know, warfare was very different. In the time of Jhansi Rani Lakshmi Bai, the warfare was on horses. So the Rani was riding a horse, carrying a sword and killing the enemy soldiers. Today, if you try to fight like that, you will never be able to win any war. Because today we have cannons, rockets, we have battle tanks, we have air force. So the nature of warfare is always undergoing a change. Till recently, that is about till 20 years back, every nation's army used to have 3 wings. Like in India, we have Army, Navy and Air Force. Army for ground operations, Navy for sea operations and Air Force for operations from the sky. But today, that is not enough. In fact, in this area, the People's Liberation Army of China, PLA, is a pioneer. They have modernized their army to such an extent that today the PLA is almost on par with the American Defense Services. PLA has not 3 wings. There are 5 wings in that. 2 more have been added. First is ground force. They don't call it army. We call it army. They call it ground force. Second is obviously navy. Third is air force. Fourth they call as rocket force. Now in this, the meaning of rocket is not what you play with in Diwali time. Here basically rocket means remotely fired weapons. That means it includes missiles also. And China has got very advanced missiles. They come in the range of intercontinental ballistic missiles. That means their missiles can actually cross from one continent to another. They have got so much capacity. And many of their missiles, they have nuclear warheads. That means they can be used even for launching a nuclear attack. And many of their missiles have the capability that they can be launched from sea. That means on the sea there will be a ship stationed at somewhere close to the enemy country, and from there you can launch a missile. So a very short range missile can be very precisely fired to damage the enemy installations. This fourth force of People's Liberation Army is the rocket force. And surprisingly, they have a fifth force also, which is called Strategic Warfare Force. This Strategic Warfare Force is the one which deals with information warfare. So I actually want to talk to you about this concept in information security, because today our enemies, and of course China is enemy number 1 for us. Today our enemies, they don't attack us just on the ground, navy and the air. They can also fire missiles from their territory or from Indian Ocean very close to our shores, and they can hit our installations. And also they have information warfare wing which attacks the information infrastructure of the enemy. This means they can remotely hack into our information systems, and once they do that, they can stop our banking network, they can stop our metros from running, they can shut down our power plants, and they can disable our power distribution grid. Now I would like you to close your eyes and imagine for a second that supposing at wartime China does exactly that. We have a power grid all over our country which supplies power to all the states in the country, including our state. It takes power from various generating stations in our country and then distributes them to all the states. And from there, the local distribution company, like Telangana State Distribution Company, they will send the power to our house over the poles. Now, if this system is disabled remotely by the Chinese army, just imagine the scenario. All our colleges, all our homes, all our offices, all our cinema multiplexes will be dark. In that condition, how long we will be able to fight the army? Because the whole civilian population gets demoralized. They will become anti-government. They will say, stop all this. If you are not able to defend our infrastructure, better don't start a fight, and we don't want this inconvenience for us. Civilians are very happy as long as the war is going on the borders. The soldiers are fighting and dying. Civilians can only clap. Our soldiers are very brave, give them Bharat Ratnas. But when they are affected like this, they will not be equally glad. So, information warfare today will not attack only the battle tanks, only the ammunition dumps, only the trenches. No, they are conventional targets. They are attacked by ground force and air force. Civilian installations which deal with transportation, communications and power, they are much more vulnerable. Equally vulnerable is the sewage system of a city and the water supply system of a city. They are very vulnerable. So, if the sewage system is damaged, the whole city will be filled with stench. People will not be able to live in the city at all. And such a country will not be able to fight the war. So also is the water supply system. If the water supply is disrupted for 1 day or 2 days, you can buy packaged water. But if it is disrupted for a longer time, how much water you can buy for drinking, cooking and washing? Not possible. So, this fifth wing of the army, People's Liberation Army, does this kind of attacks. Now this has shown a way to all other countries also. And all other countries are also slowly upgrading their armies to have similar capabilities. In India also, we have started this activity, and to some extent we are developing our capability in this area also. So this fifth force, which is there in modern armies like PLA, this is supposed to do several things. And what it is supposed to do, that is described by C to the power 4 ISR. This is an abbreviation. C4 means command, communication, control, and command, communication, control, and compute. So it is directly linked with information security. And I stands for intelligence, S stands for surveillance, R stands for reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. Reconnaissance means before you attack a target, you see the target remotely, find all the coordinates of that target, find the most suitable time of attack, and then attack. Don't blindly attack a target. First do a lot of reconnaissance to collect the background information. So all these activities, they are done by the strategic support force of the army. The strategic support force works in 4 areas. This is of course the basic abbreviation, but this abbreviation means that it works in 4 areas. The 4 areas are: 1, space. Yes, space. Because every country has got certain assets in space also. We have in India some satellites in place. They are being used for communication and for transmission of data and all that. So they can be attacked. Then we have cyber assets, our servers and storage. It also includes political warfare, that is for demoralizing the civilian population. And finally, it includes the electronic warfare, that means it attacks the enemy IT installations. So this is called the information warfare. It's a very big concept. It covers so many things. And United Nations Charter has defined the information warfare activities, and they have also given certain guidelines, like they have said that offensive operations of an organized military operation should not do certain things, like they should not attack healthcare systems, hospital systems, because that will create too much of human misery. They have tried to give certain guidelines like that. But of course, in a warfare, it is said that everything is fair in love and war. So everybody may not really follow all those guidelines, but to the extent possible, the United Nations Charter has tried to give the guidelines for information warfare. The responsibilities of information security is to make sure that during the period of war, when the enemy launches information warfare, how we are going to secure our IT assets. So this becomes a very major part of information security. Now here we are not talking of information security of a small organization or a small commercial establishment. Here we are talking about a much bigger thing, and that is information security for the cyber assets, space assets of our entire country. So that becomes an activity in the information security. In USA, there is also one new act which is called Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Actually, Copyright Act we have already talked, which is applicable for the citizens of USA. Now this particular act, which was created separately in USA, this is supposed to have a sort of international version of the Intellectual Property Protection Act of USA, and this tries to protect the copyrights about e-books and books and periodicals and research papers and trademarks of brands, and also privacy infringement. So this is also a recent initiative. Then a similar initiative is also there in the European Union. As you know, European Union is a consortium of all the European countries. All these are countries like France, Germany, Greece, Italy, Sweden, Norway, Switzerland, etc. They also have released a European Union directive, and this deals with the protection of individuals with regard to processing of personal data and protecting their privacy. And similarly, United Kingdom, England, also has a law for privacy which is called database right. Yes, please come. Now, I am going to the ethical aspects of information security. Here, first thing I would like to mention is that ethics and law are not same. I have already explained the differences in the past. They are different. And this is one good illustration of what we understand by ethics. The ethics in Indian society is defined in a very powerful way, and that is the concept of karma. Now, karma is a very powerful concept which says that whatever good or bad you do, it comes back to you. If not in this life, no problem, next life. If you escape in the next life also, again next life. But you cannot escape the consequences of your actions. In this respect, I think the Indian concept is very different from the concept which is followed in other civilizations and other religions. Let's just have a small comparison. In Islam, also they say you must not do bad things, you must do only good things. Yes, no doubt in that. But they say if you do bad things, you will go to hell. Hell is called Jozakh. If you do good things, you will go to Jannat. Jannat is up, hell is down. Similarly, in Christianity, there is a concept of heaven and hell. But in Indian karma philosophy, your actions keep following you from life to life. So you cannot escape your consequences at any stage, and you have to pay for your bad deeds right on the earth. The concept of ethics in India actually follows from another concept which is called ethos. Ethos is not the same thing as ethics, it is slightly different. Ethos is a branch of philosophy actually. It's a branch of philosophy that deals with identifying, defending and recommending concepts of right and wrong behavior. And this is a term which deals with the principal beliefs or ideals that form the basis of a community, nation or ideology. So from this follows the ethics which a community will be following. Next, I would like to talk to you about ethical dilemma. In ethics, there is another concept called ethical dilemma, which means there are multiple courses of action available always. For every situation, there are multiple courses of action, and many a time these actions can be very confusing for a person to decide what is right and what is wrong. That means you will feel, if I do this action, this is wrong, but the reverse is also equally wrong. So many examples are provided for ethical dilemma. You know, there was a great writer called Plato in ancient times. Plato was there. He gives a very interesting example of ethical dilemma. A person has borrowed a weapon from a friend. A borrowed a weapon from the friend B. He has kept the weapon with him for some time, and according to the promise, he is supposed to return the weapon after a period of time, say 12 months. Now, when the time has come for him to return the weapon, he has come to know that B, the other friend, is planning to kill somebody. If he returns the weapon, murder will be committed. If he doesn't return the weapon, he is guilty of breaking his promise. Both things are wrong. You are not supposed to break your promise. You are not supposed to assist any person in doing murders also. Such a situation is called ethical dilemma. Another ethical dilemma was described by a writer called William Styron. He has written a novel about the Second World War. And the name of the novel is Sophie's Choice. Sophie is the name of a woman. That woman, Sophie, is a prisoner who had been imprisoned by the Nazis. Nazis were the people who were ruling Germany at that time under Hitler. So Sophie is a prisoner in the Nazi camp. And along with her, there are two kids. Sophie is there in the jail. Two kids are there. Nazis were very cruel. Hitler's force was very cruel. So in the novel, it is described that Nazis tell that woman, we are going to kill one of your kids. You have to tell which one we can kill. And if you don't make a choice, if you don't answer, we will kill both. It is an example of ethical dilemma. If she remains silent, both the kids are killed. If she says kill this one, that is also bad. Kill that one, that is also bad. Another beautiful example of ethical dilemma was provided by another writer who is also a very famous writer, Jean-Paul Sartre. He wrote several novels, and one of the novels is about German occupation of France. Germans were occupying France at that time. And the French government made a rule that all young men who are below the age of 30, they will have to compulsorily enroll in the army and fight for the country. Then in the novel, there is a young man whose mother is a widow. She is sick. She doesn't have anybody else to look after her. Now, the son has two choices. One, he has to tell a lie to the government and somehow escape military service and look after his mother. And second is that he should go to the front and fight the war. Both are wrong. If he tells lies and looks after his mother, he is failing in his duty towards the country. And if he goes for the war, the mother will certainly die and he has failed in his duty for the mother. So such things are called ethical dilemmas. In every individual's life, such dilemmas will come and they have to be sorted out. Why we are talking about it in information security? Good question. Well, the answer is in information security, such cases will arise many times. Example, you are aware that now autonomous cars are being designed. Autonomous car will be one which doesn't need a driver. I mean, it's wrong to say it doesn't need a driver. The driver is a software. Like my printer driver is a software, scanner driver is a software. Similarly, car driver will be a software. So, software will be driving a car. It has got all the intelligence to drive a car, and it finds a situation where if he goes forward, a pedestrian is going to get killed. Pedestrian is just in front of him. So he has to stop the car. But if he stops the car, there is a lorry at the back which is going to hit the rear seat and the passenger will die. Are you understanding the situation? So the software has to decide, if I stop the car, I save the pedestrian, I continue to drive, then I will be able to save the passenger. So whom should I save? This is an ethical dilemma to be solved by a software. Now who are the people who are going to write the software? Guys like you. So if you have to write a software, imagine that you are writing a software like that and you have to answer this. It is very difficult for you as a human being and much more so as a technical person to answer this question. So that's how ethical concepts become relevant in our information technology also. So I am stopping the class here.